This is the Lounge Podcast, and this is brought to you by Recordon Studio. I'm Russell Couch, and my special guest is Raisa Ghazi, a global public speaker, which, if that's not impressive enough, you're championing women's empowerment and inclusivity. And let me say that not only are you advising women themselves, even universities and governments. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so I do this basically in 5 continents, but I focus a lot on the Middle East and Europe. And I get hired by, for example, universities, governments, the Big Four, the Fortune 500, pretty much any type of organization that struggles with the division of power, which is nowadays, I mean, it's every organization. It's UNICEF, it's the American government, it's the Dutch government. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do for me.
It is indeed. I mean, I'm still struggling to comprehend this, and it's super impressive. I mean, how does one get involved and trusted at that level with such great responsibility?
Why do they trust me, you mean?
Well, how did it start? Yeah, and then how have you built up that trust?
Right. Well, I guess it started because I worked in technology for a very short period. And during that time, I mean, the division of power there is very much skewed towards men. And so actually, during that job, I started focusing a lot on how to educate our own developers on being inclusive and making inclusive decisions. Because as you might know, if a developer, integrate some type of bias into an algorithm or some type of machine learning system, and that can have exponential consequences, like a very, negative. And so that's where it started. But then it's, ended up with me starting my own company and doing this by myself.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, who'd have thought? Yeah, the subliminal sort of messages that are there, even unintentionally. So, this is your first time at the Doha Women Forum.
True.
Yeah. What's been in your impression, and what are the sort of people you've been rubbing shoulders with?
Right. Okay. So for me, I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. That's what I already knew that before I came. I'm a speaker here today, and I could see that, the organization, it's just highly professional. The people involved, highly professional. And so, I mean, it just shows that in this country, this is taken very seriously. And, but it also shows that it's really one of a kind. So I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much. And, over the years, we've recognized this problem. It started off with sort of like, equal rights for women. Then it became more nuanced and sort of like more understood and acceptable. And we wanted women to find their voice, and we wanted women to be empowered. We want equality in the workplace. And you and others are doing great work on this and the forum that we have here today. But the world evolves. And women have been finding their voice, finding other opportunities. And I'm going to quote here social media, because you can have women doing excellent work as influencers, for example. And yet for all the successful women who are doing a genuinely good job, there's so many people out there to knock them down. So how are women coping with the pressures of the new pressures that they're now facing?
Right. Well, as a content creator myself, I can say, I mean, the internet is a ruthless world. People are just, I feel like, nonstop on it just to spread hate. It's unbelievable. I never knew it was going to be like that, especially in the beginning. You wake up sometimes to 100 hate messages, and you're like, it just affects you mentally, to be honest. But I guess that also requires a new way of self-care, and also zoning out of certain things, which I don't know if it's really healthy. But then again, I don't think it's really healthy the way that people are also, coming after each other online. Like, that's also a new phenomenon. I don't think this has ever been done in this way before, because you used to not have access to people's spaces. You would literally have to send a letter if you wanted to knock them down. So yeah, this is a very new thing, I guess.
I mean, we're looking at the theme here. I'm looking up at it now. Invest in women, the path for peace, security and inclusion. The one in the middle there, security, this is one of the areas we're looking at. Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is interesting that you also mentioned the security part, because, for example, when it comes to female politicians in the Netherlands, it turns out that they receive hundreds of times more hate than their male counterparts when they are in politics. And it has a lot to do with their security, a lot of threats, a lot of, terrible things that people wish upon them. So it's not as secure as we wished.
And I think this is why we need more people like you, more people like we have at Doha Women Forum, who can offer this support, understanding, recognition, and help people to cope with the ever-evolving challenges that they're facing. Raisa Ghazi, global public speaker, thank you so much for joining us on the Lounge podcast.